Oh my Harley. This is the Dirty Dozen questions coming right at you.
RevelatorAlf.
Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. Hope you're enjoying the channel and the series of videos. Please like, share, subscribe, leave loads of comments below. Check out the website RevelatorAlf.com and the links in the description below too. So this video is the first of a brand new show called Oh My Harley, where I ask 12 probing questions about Harley riding and ownership, and let's see what's what. So here's the first question. Leave your answers in the comments below, please. And if you want to appear on a future Oh My Harley show, then get in touch via the website RevelatorAlf.com. Anyway, so the first question is, what motorcycle are you riding now? Well, for me, my answer is obviously the Harley Davidson Sport Glide FLSB. It's a 2019 model, and yes, a lot of my channel is about Harley riding and the Sport Glide now, but it's a fantastic bike. I love it in all different quarters, all different styles of riding. It's just been a fantastic ride, and as you know, it's probably the one motorcycle that I've connected with the best and the fastest, I should say, as well. So for me, the Sport Glide, fantastic. Okay, second question. What do you think of the technology on your motorcycle, and is there anything that you would like to have included, or do you think should be standard? Well, for me on the Sport Glide, I think there is a minimum that is on there, and it fulfills what it's asked of it, let's say. It has ABS as standard for us in the UK. There is obviously electronics on board. There's a LED headlight, which I think, you know, is the way it should be. Perhaps an adaptive headlight would be better than just a standard as stock. I think we're looking forward. I think possibly more needs to go on now. I've said in the past that RDRS that is available on the Tourer range should really be available on the Softail range, and possibly as standard as well. Possibly with the Sport Glide have a dual disc front end, although I am very happy with the braking as it is. I think you can always improve on these things. Possibly more variation suspension setup from Harley Davidson. There are others available, but from Harley Davidson, I think more variation there as well. Possibly also different electronics in terms of infotainment for lots of riders who love the Sport Glide, but who are having to find their own ways to bring radios on, or GPS, or tyre pressure monitoring systems, that kind of thing, outside air temperature readings, that kind of thing. If there was an infotainment system at handlebar height or a little bit higher, perhaps that will fulfill that niche. Certainly as an option, whether as standard as well. Okay, question number 3. How long have you been riding Harley Davidsons? What was your first experience of riding a Harley Davidson? And possibly what was your best time riding one? Okay, so for me, I've been riding motorcycles for over 40 years, continuously riding a Harley Davidson, only from July 2019, where I've bought my first one. My first ride on a Harley was about 12, 13 years ago, something like that, on a street bob, one of the early street bobs, or earlier street bobs, I should say, FXDB. Loved that bike. I was torn for many years whether I wanted to go and get a street bob. In the end, I put it off, and then I went another route. Then I eventually came back to Harley Davidson, and I went for the Sport Glide, which I'm obviously very happy with. My best time riding a Harley, well, there's been so many times, but I've got to say on my endurance ride, which I did from all around Great Britain on the Sport Glide, there was a moment from Edinburgh heading out west towards Glasgow. It was just around about sunset. The sun was setting. Beautiful clear night, orange and red sky, and it was just a lovely sight, and it was just me, the bike, the road, the sunset. It was a picture perfect moment. and probably a moment I'll never forget as well. So that was for me. Okay, so the next question is, what modifications have you made to your Harley? Were they worth it, and why? Well, for me, actually, on the Sport Glide, very limited so far. I actually wanted to keep the bike stock for as long as possible. I've changed the front lenses on the indicators to smoked. I do like my modifications very stealthy like anyway. The modifications I have made have been in terms of protecting the bike, protecting the paintwork so far, with vinyl covers for the saddlebags, the panniers, also for the front fairing and the front forks. I've also put a splashback on the rear fender gap under the seat. But that's about it. Nothing in terms of performance, nothing in terms of general aesthetics. The first modification I'll probably make this coming year will be a handlebar change, maybe to a drag style, just raise them up. The overall height of the hand grips for about another 2 or 3 inches maximum, nothing more than that. And then I'll probably look at a stage 1. But that's about as far as I will go in terms of performance. I think those will be worth it. I think they'll add a bit of value or residual value to the bike, but that's not really what I'm looking for. I think the performance gain will be just about where I want it for my kind of riding style, but the ride comfort will probably for a handlebar height will be just about right, about another 2 or 3 inches just above what it is at stock. Okay, next question. What other modification would you do or would you consider, and why? Well, for me, I like the stock bike for me riding by myself. However, there is definitely an issue with a stock seat if you're going to carry pillions. So if I was going to make any further modifications, it would be for a different seat, for a 2-up seat. And it would be for a better pillion pad, and possibly have a sissy bar there with a pad on there. But that's about it. I wouldn't necessarily go for any other modification other than that. Okay, next question. What other Harley Davidson would you like to own, or would you like to ride next? Well, as I say, I've always been a big fan of the Street Bob on the Dyna chassis, so I would love to get an unmolested, completely stock Street Bob, and then just change it up as I would any other bike. But certainly get a stock bike. I'd love a Street Bob. I would actually like to certainly have a ride, and certainly possibly even add to the stable Street Glide Special. I do like those bikes. You know, they're, in terms of daily riding, possibly not for me where I ride in the UK. I love the Sport Glide, but a Street Glide Special, I think, you know, for a longer rides, it looks like a great bike for sure. And what I've seen up close, it really looks good. It ticks lots of boxes. But the Sport Glide would still be my number one bike. As for other Harleys, then I'd always like to build another bobber or chopper, possibly with a Sportster engine as well. So that's on the cards as well. So to build another Harley-based bike, to get a Street Bob, and maybe a Street Glide Special as well, something like that. Okay, so next question is, what is your favourite Harley Davidson motorcycle of all time? Okay, so for me, that's quite easy, and I've said this quite a few times on the channel. It's 1978, 77, 79, but 78 Harley Davidson XLCR 1000cc. Based off the Sportster XLCH, apparently there's lots of rumours and myths about that bike, but it's a cafe racer style bike. I just think the lines, the looks, just loved it. And you know, they go for a pretty penny, those bikes. And yes, by modern standards, they're not that great performance, and they probably weren't that good at the time either. But in terms, that is the bike that I would always love. And if I could dream of having that in my stable, that would be number one. Okay, next question. What do you think Harley Davidson should have standard on your bike? Okay, so for me, obviously I'm talking about the Sport Glide. So I would say as standard, I always disagreed that they had the chrome covers on the bike. I always thought that they should have come out with an all black engine casings as well, engine covers as well. So either the wrinkle or the gloss black finish. It stands to reason that a lot of bikes were still attracting a lot of people who were still into the black looking bikes. So I think actually coming out with the chrome covers was a mistake. Lots of people have gone for the change on the black covers as well. I think it looks better in that regard, although I have got used to the chrome, and it is really nice looking bike, and it does set it apart from other Softails, of a certain type, but I still think it should have had the black covers as standard. As I said before, RDRS, the better technology, the greater technology should be available on the Softails as standard as well, in my opinion. Okay, so next question. What do you think of the Livewire as a production bike? Well, for me, I think that there's been a bit of a hiccup here with the Livewire. It's great that Harley Davidson are trying to push the boundaries, come out with their own production electric bike, but we're at the threshold of great things with electric bikes coming out in the future. But they got stiff competition from other well-established brands who are also gaining favour. But you got to look at pricing, you got to look at range, you got to look at what technology they're going to use on this bike in future projects and future either electric bikes or standard bikes as well. So it's a very interesting time, not only for Harley Davidson, but also for the whole electric bike market. I think they're coming overpriced. I think there are issues with the bike that won't appeal to the masses. And if Harley Davidson are looking at the Livewire to save them in many ways, it's the wrong bike to do it. Possibly going to look at the Pan America or the Bronx to be able to give that greater impetus, but the Livewire isn't going to do it for me. But it's good that they've come out with a production bike. They've got a bike to production, and it's a good looking bike, but there isn't enough range on it, and it's overpriced for what it is. But if they can use some of the technology in future developments, that's where it's going to be key. Okay, next question. What do you think of the liquid-cooled engines that are coming out in the Pan America and obviously in the Bronx? Well, liquid-cooled engines are not unfamiliar to the Harley Davidson world. Obviously with the V-Rod and the street bikes with the Revolution and the Revolution X engine as well. But we've got to look at the future. You've got to look at what other markets are doing as well and other manufacturers are doing. They really have produced really good liquid-cooled engines, better performance, better resilience, better residuals on them as well. So you've got to look at that. Now, where Harley Davidson can hit the mark here is having a liquid-cooled engine that actually resembles an air-cooled engine as well. There's no reason why they can't produce that. They don't have to produce a liquid-cooled engine that actually looks like a liquid-cooled engine. There can be that you can disguise it so you keep both camps happy, but you're going to have a better performing engine with the looks of an old engine as well. That's where they should be looking at if they want to still keep that Harley heritage but move into this century and compete with the other manufacturers. Okay, next question. What does Harley Davidson Motor Company have to do to compete with other bike manufacturers? If they're going to survive as a company, for the first thing, they really need to step up their game in technology and also pricing. Technology needs to go up, pricing needs to come down. They can't just rely on patriotism now or loyalty to the brand now, because the older generation or older generations are either leaving or not buying Harley Davidson, or certainly not buying new Harley Davidsons, and the next generation are not going to be as brand loyal as previous generations were. The new generations are looking at environment, they're looking at pricing, they're looking at economy and efficiency, and they're looking at which bike is going to suit their lifestyle. It's got to be a lifestyle bike rather than something that you're going to use on the weekends. And I think that's where Harley Davidson need to look at the technology and price matching other motorcycles as well. That's the only way they're going to compete. And they can't necessarily just look at engine and power and torque. They've got to look at an overall package. And perhaps with the Pan American and the Bronx, they are moving into that general direction. But they have to be better at it. They have to be better with all the models that they're producing. Not only can they not alienate existing customers and customers from the past, but they have to think about the new generation. And this is not only about big displacement engines. They need to readdress and start looking at small displacement engines, not only in the Far East markets, but also around Europe especially, and possibly even into South America and in North America as well. Okay, last question. Would you ever ride or choose to ride or own another brand of motorcycle? Or would you only ever ride a Harley from now on? Well, my answer to that would be, well, I'm a complete petrol head, so I love all sorts of bikes, anything on two wheels. And I would always ride another bike, and I would always love to ride other bikes just for the experience. I would never say I'm never going to ride a bike, because it's the experience that I would have. And every bike brings something different, whether it's a little moped, whether it's a little step through Honda C90, Honda Cub, which is one of my favourite bikes of all time, whether I'm going up to a sports bike or a Grand Tourer or something that has been custom built. I love riding experiences, and you get different riding experiences from different sorts of bikes and manufacturers as well. I would see no reason for me to actually move away from Harley Davidson right now, or no reason to move away from the Sport Glide which I'm riding, because I love it so much, and I really am liking the Milwaukee 8 engine. I am really loving the chassis on the Softails. I think if they actually change the chassis on the Taurus with a Milwaukee 8 engine, a monoshock rear suspension as well, I think I would be very tempted in the future, not now, but in the future, to look at a Tourer, maybe a Street Glide special, something like that. But I would not right now, based upon the chassis on those Taurus, which I'm not 100% sure on. But with the Softails, as I say, I'm a massive fan and a massive advocate of the Softails now, in not only being a great riding experience, but also how it's dispelling myths, and also how it's changing mentalities and attracting riders from other manufacturers onto the brand. And I think they've hit gold with the Softails. And if they push the Softails even more and made better technology for the Softails, I say the RDRS, then I think they're onto a winner. So I would not actually necessarily own another motorcycle per se, but I would certainly ride any motorcycle, because I just love riding bikes. Well, anyway, that's it. That's the Dirty Dozen questions. I hope you enjoyed that. And please leave your comments below. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what your answers to are on those questions, about Harley Davidson, about existing technology, future technology, the market. Would you ever own another motorcycle? What about future riding of Harleys or any other bike as well? Let us know. Anyway, please like, share, subscribe, leave those comments below, check out the website RevelatorAlf.com, and the links in the description, and I'll catch you again. Ta-ra now. RevelatorAlf.